I remember my father told me something then. You know you're my first son. But I'm gonna tell you, in your wallet, make sure you have 1 or 2 condoms. And what my mom used to tell me is this: close your eyes. And I'll close. And she said, "Who do you see?" I said, "Nobody." She said, "Don't trust anybody. Trust yourself." I've slept in the car for days that nobody knows. I've went to gym to be having my bath. Nobody knows. I've had somebody chase me out of their house. Nobody knows. Once you can know who you are, sometimes your parents will know who you are. Never doubt who you are. Just go for it. All right. We're still on the solo, like we've been doing for a couple of episodes. And this is another way of you telling you out there, if you like to join me or to be among the people that will be presenting on CTDA Media, you could definitely try to reach out to us. On this episode, I'm not doing it alone. I have Cubana of Houston behind the camera. You already hear his sound for however reason, that's his signature. So let's go with it. Cubana, what are we talking today?
Oh, today's about yourself. We want to know more about you. So the first question I want to ask is, what do you wish you knew at 19 years?
Dang, that's a long year back.
Yeah, you want to talk about love or you want to talk about loyalty?
Both.
Okay, let's go.
I'm deep. Let me come back to Nigeria. I think if I can remember, not to put my dad out, but I remember my father told me something then, if I'm correct. That's one thing that sync with me in my head. And I remember my dad would tell me that time, like, you know, you're my first son. This is a funny thing he told me. He's like, you know, you're my first son. I'm like, yes. I was like, I can see all the girls coming around you back and forth. But I'm going to tell you, in your wallet, make sure you have 1 or 2 condoms. I look at my dad and I said, "Sir?" My dad said, "Yes, I'm your father." And I asked him that. I remember I asked him, I said, "Why would you tell me to do that?" And he said, "Look at where we are right now. Look at how we're living. If you impregnate somebody, how are you going to take care of them?" And I told him, I remember, I was like, "But me, I wouldn't do it." And I said, there are situations where you're going to find yourself, a woman will have sex with you, not you. So he said, in that moment, he reminded, like, let's, and I think that has been something I hold on to myself when it comes to love. And the reason why I talk about love in that area is loving myself will make me to know when to bring somebody to the world. I think that's what I call love for me. A lot of people define love in the different ways, but for me, the love of loving yourself will make you know maybe you're worthy of bringing somebody to the world. And I think that's one thing my father was able to tell me in that short conversation that time. When it comes to loyalty, my experience on loyalty will come from my mom. And what my mom used to tell me is this: close your eyes. And I'll close. And she said, "Who do you see?" I said, "Nobody." She said, "Don't trust anybody. Trust yourself." And I think that's one thing that have helped me when it comes to loyalty. My loyalty is for me. It's not for people. And that's one thing that I've learned in my 19-year-old with my parents. I'm lucky to have a wonderful parent that just, I would say this: my parents are one of the parents that if my father beat you from the right hand, my mom beats you from the left hand. And it becomes where you have to change, because I see some kids where they will go to their parents and say, my dad beat me in my own house. There's nothing like they will beat you back. So I've cultivated a habit of love for my dad and understanding to love myself. And when it comes to loyalty, I think I got that from my mom in terms of saying, close your eyes, what do you see? So my loyalty, when I tell people like I'm standing loyal, my loyalty is for me. And the reason is this: my integrity is my loyalty. So it's about me. It's not about yourself. And I think it's something in the past, a couple of people have disrespected that loyalty that I give them because they think it's for them. So that's what I would say I have experienced in my 19-year-old.
Okay, and that question is, what's that one Nigerian parent rule you learned growing up that used to thrive in America?
I think one thing that I remember my dad, since we're young, this is a privilege for me to share. I come from a home where it's a mixed cultural understanding. And when I say that, my mom is from Ijebu, my dad is from Ayetoro, which is part of more like the Egun people, like they say in Yoruba language. My parents was able to instill that in me since I was young. You know, the story that I was trying to say is my dad would say, I only eat rice once in a year, and that's Christmas. So I grew up hearing my dad talking about it every day. Like, you know, you guys will waste food, you guys will do this. You don't understand, like, I only eat this once in a year. It's not because they are broke. My grandfather have a very big farm, but they see rice as something substance as big. You gotta eat it once in a year. So having that, and my dad would tell me like, don't, no matter where you find, this is a privilege too. I was a very stubborn kid when I was young, and I remember my dad would instill this in me when I was young, like, no matter what you do, don't spell my last name. Because it took me a long route to take it from, America will call it countryside. We call it village in Nigeria. So my dad moved from the village to the city. So he would tell me like, I don't have anybody in the city. I build this name. So anywhere you might find yourself in this world, make sure you don't spell my last name. So that becomes something, integrity and my father's last name become where today, you know, I'm part of Grammy. And I'm proud to make my father's name a name where the world can get to know. And I think that's one thing my father gave me when I was young, like about saying like, don't, whatever you find yourself, it was like, whatever you're doing, just make sure when that name come on the news, it's for good, not for bad. So even if I find myself in America doing anything or finding myself where around people that I know it's going to get me out of the name in the wrong way, I just get out of it. I just move away from it because my name is something I don't joke with.
Wow. Okay, that's super cool. What have you ever had to sacrifice something that so that you can be heard?
In America, I've done everything people would not think I've done. Like, let me give it out here to anybody that is watching this. What you're looking at is 3 degrees that I've done the job you don't think I would do. Like, I've found myself working with people that they won't even know I have 3 degrees. I only say that because I dress that I don't make me feel like I have that. And I don't talk like I go to school. I would talk to the most dullest person that you can think, and you won't even know that's just me. And when it comes to that, I just feel like I've sacrificed everything. I've slept in the car for days that nobody knows. In here in America, for days. I've went to gym to be having my bath. Nobody knows. I've had somebody chase me out of their house. Nobody knows. So there's a lot of it happen when it comes to sacrifice that, yeah, I've done it all, man. I've lost money. I've everything.
Can you call that scenario your lowest point in the hustle, or?
When it comes to my lowest, I think my lowest is the people that I've dragged so close and they stab me on my face, not in my back. You know, it takes a lot of confidence for somebody to stab you in your face. So that's been my lowest. My lowest has nothing to do with who I am because I'm that person that I always tell people like, who you are today is your 5 years ago. So for every yes you make 5 years ago, 2, 3 years ago, is what I'm talking to. So I don't dwell on that. I dwell on people that I draw so close within those time. They make me to be on my lowest. Because you can be going to a battle and you think you have a soldier. And the soldier be the one to stab you in your face.
And what snapped you out of it?
What snapped me out of it is my parent. And when I use the word my parents, I would say my parents are that somebody that believes so much in doing good at any circumstances that they might find themselves. So for every time I'm in my lowest, even what got me to become so viral popular around the world, I was in my lowest when I started doing my reviews. So my parents' way of loving themselves till date, I don't care what it is, they've been able to show that love in the sense that I channel from their love to believing there's good in this world. Let me put it that way. And, you know, I'm still proud my parents are still both alive. You know, every time I talk to them, there's this way they kind of renew my hope. And I just found myself snap of it. And that's been how, I would just say in a short words, my parents have shown me love that even though anything that happened, I can easily call them or play back our voice note and I'm good and I just snap out of it. But in the end game, It's the fact I just believe in good. Like I don't care whatever it is.
Okay. So you said you're from Ayutthaya. That's, let me say, from the
Yeah.
that's
Ogun
Yoruba,
State.
Ogun
Yeah.
State. That's the
Yeah.
Western Africa and Nigeria.
Yeah.
What part of your culture gave you power, and what held you back?
My hometown. My hometown gave me power because I was lucky enough to spend a lot of time with my grandfather, my both grandfather actually. I'm not going to say I'm the favorite, but I kind of feel like I'm the favorite. So I've ranted a little bit in the past that people that follow me will see it. You know, sometimes I remember early this year I was just, I was going through things that the world does not know that has to do with my business, and I would just find myself posting about my grandfather on my story. Like I think I have a couple of them on my TikTok. Like I had to write his name out, like da 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 da. Like people are trying to mess with me in some kind of way, and I have some close people call me like, "Are you okay? Are you going dementia?" I'm like, "No, nothing is wrong with me," because once I can relate my who I am, my identity to my father hometown, my mother's hometown, it's like I can feel some kind of force. I don't get scared. I just like my last name, Mama Kinlolu. Like I'm from that part that I don't care, bro. If you come, you just gonna feel it. But when it comes to America home has been because I was privileged. My parents sent me to a school back in the 80s that has to do with me seeing white people. So I really go to school with white people. My parents make me to, I was like going to school with white people. And when I mean white people, white kids, that was something that was strange for me. Like how? Like make it make sense. Why? Like why are these people, why am I being treated different from this? So when I got to being traveled around the world has been one inquisitive about me, like why this? So in America, the fact that we build a brand that talks about connecting the dots, when I get tired, I just remember like I gotta do this. So I just find myself like, nah, I don't care. I don't care. And then there's been a lot of bad experience, but my hometown, which is Ayetoro, Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State, full Ogun State breed. And connecting the dots is something I'm just asking for questions, man. Like, and it took me a lot of years to come to the name of the brand, CTDA Media, like connecting the dots, Africa. We went through a lot of name, and the reason is this: for every time I move around people, I started realizing we are so intercultural ways that we don't give room for us to be able to connect. And that's just everything that I've been doing. So when I get tired, when I feel like there's no way out, if I remember where I'm coming from and I can realize what I'm doing, I just snap out and I'm back to it. All my staff, you guys always ask me like, how do I snap out? And that's just what it is. I can be tired right now. If that part of me come up, I'm out of it. And I believe now in the business world, for anybody watching this, to realize that you have to build a system that doesn't require an emotional feelings. Like you have to have a routine. 5, you gotta be 5. When you're tired, you gotta be there. When you're sick, you gotta be there. When you don't wanna eat, you gotta be there. When you eat, you gotta be there. When you feel like you gotta sleep, you gotta be there. I think that's what separates the winner from the losers. A lot of people will do it within 3 weeks and they feel like I'm there. But for somebody like me, having a job of 12 hours job, writing and watching movies that can talk about critique, and I'm still managing 10 people, and I'm still running production, and I'm still traveling. Think about it. It is something that I've built for over 2 years. That's become a routine for me. Like people look at me like, damn, I just snap into it. Let me add this. For you that might be watching, what we'll be talking about is about the younger version of me, Oyebanji Akins. I hope you've been able to enjoy what I've been able to share. But one thing I want to say is, to let you understand that this is not planned, but I feel like to share this. The younger version of me was so naive that I know who I am, but I wasn't confident to show who I am. So I'm using this part to tell anybody watching this, like once you can know who you are, sometimes your parents will know who you are. Never doubt who you are. Just go for it. Because the more you prolong, the more it becomes so hard. What you're supposed to spend $200 when it's $200, you wait when economy become $1,000. You're still gonna spend the $1,000.
Can I ask a question, because you say you're talking about knowing who you are?
Yeah.
You think about the cultural fear or personality issues make this generation, this younger generation coming, 1920, to still be wondering or questioning themselves that they don't know who they are?
That's a good one.
Because I know knowing who you are, it's broad. It's a lot.
I think I was privileged and lucky to have a parent that understand what the future that I'm going into, and I could break it down for you.
And quick one: were your parents Christian or were they Christians
Or Muslim.
or Muslim?
That's why I said I'm the one of the most luckiest guy in the world. My parents are Christian, but I grew up where my parents embrace Muslims, Jehovah Witness. Like they will sit in my house, they having conversation, like they'll be talking with my dad. And they are so respectful people that I grew up having to respect every culture. Me, I don't have a problem with when people talk about religion, I just tell them like, little do you know that I grew up listening to people like this. They'll be debating about Quran, about Bible, about Jehovah Witness, watch word tracks. I'm literally just watching old people talking about the Bible verse, da 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 da. So for me, I don't have a problem when it comes to religion because I've outgrown to understand your ideology determining your faith towards your religion. Because we're living off of an ideology. A lot of people are living as a Christian in the Bible, but in their way of life is way far from the Bible. So that's what I'm saying. Like some people are living off of the Bible, some people are living off of the ideology attached to the Bible. So for me, I've been able to see a lot. But going back to your question, the problem I think the world is having when it comes to Black community, African American, Caribbean, colored people, I would say 20 years ago, a lot of, should I use the word millennials or should I say the parent of 50s that never embrace education make it hard for their kids to transfer it to their next kids. So the problem we're having in the world is a lot of parents does not understand social media. So they make their children to be scared of social media. Now, most of the children of today are social media kids. So those kids already know most of the answer you want to tell them. They already understand where to go online to look for therapy. So they're already ahead of you to the level where they're consuming more than their parents online. So that's why you see a lot of 19-year-old thinking like they are 40 years old. Because two things that are happening. Their parents does not understand what they're looking at to advise them, to talk to them about it. I have a lot of my peer groups that don't even understand how to use internet properly. Not because they have to, but what makes me lucky was, for me, I'll say like this. I went to the name of my school that I started with, shout out to Ceci Wingen. We went to the same school. St. Benedict is white, a mix of white and everything like that. From there, my parent makes me to, like, at my tender age, I already know how to edit. Like my nickname then is called Editor. I think it's time for a lot of African American, Black, Caribbeans, colored people to start not to get scared of social media. Like you have to use it. And going back to the question about knowing who you are, I think the problem that I would advise anybody watching this about knowing myself and knowing who you are is please try to intentionally force your mind to research for something that will intentionally make you grow. I think most of the people that have come around this, we get scared of things that will make us grow. The fear of unknown will make you remain unknown. I'll repeat again, the fear of unknown will make you remain unknown. Now, you can turn yourself from unknown to be known without not being known. So it's all about how you understand what I just said that will interpret it in your mind. But you can pick it anyhow you want. Coming back to, who I am as a 19, I will say too playful. I don't care. I give out easily because I grew up from a home where my parents feel like you have to give out even though what you don't have. My dad would tell me this. Give 1 naira when you have 10 naira. Because by the time you have 1,000 naira and you want to give me $100 or 100 naira, I don't need it anymore. So my dad would tell me learn how to, that's one thing I do a lot, but I've become a businessman and I realized that the ideology of my parent does not suit my growth to make me grow. So even though my parents have lived what they believe is the best one, I've now outgrown my 19-year-old to know there's more to life than how my parent has been able to show me. So that's just one thing that I would tell anybody, like your younger self, yeah, make sure anything you're making research is for you to grow, not for you to do something bad. Because you have to outgrow your parent, but in a very respectful way. And I think that's what I've been able to do.
Okay, that's super cool. What do you tell yourself when things get hard?
Believe, stay focused. I remind myself a lot. I can't remember one of this book about Alan. I can't remember the name. I've read so much books. There's this thing that I would advise everybody to have. Have something that nobody knows about yourself. That when the world is coming to an end, you can remind yourself in your mind. If you can remind yourself, write it in your phone. Have a text that you can go back to. Build yourself to have a moment where nobody have to know, because you will always go through a downtime. So I have a moment in my book, in my phone, that I can read that is just meant for me. So when I'm in my lowest, I've built my mental state that I will find a way to go back to that text. And by the time I'm finishing the text, it's not more like an affirmation. It's just something that it's more like something that I've realized that we are all like a machine that we have to rest. And everybody wants to steal your attention towards what you need to do. So if I realize my attention is going away from what I'm not supposed to do about myself when I'm in my lowest, I just go back to that text. And by the time I read like 2-3 times, I just see myself, it's like I've been able to find that word. It's just something I was able to create to myself. So I would advise anybody to try something like that.
Okay, and the last question I have for you is, do you ever feel like you're living the dream or you're managing to survive?
That's a big one. I think in my age, I would say I've lived the dream and I'm still living the dream. But in the realistic of my professionalism, no, I'm still trying to survive. So there's a state to life. I've learned to realize, my dad would say, learn to be grateful even when it's hard. Because there's nothing hard. It's just a step that you need to grow. And that's one thing a lot of people don't know. One of the reasons why I go to gyms remind me of saying the more I can face the pain, the more I don't remember I have a pain. So it's something that I forced myself to do. So every time I'm in gym, there was a time I was checking my weight every day. And there was a time I told myself, like, nah, I'm not doing it. And I realized the moment I stopped checking my weight that I was intentionally telling myself, I've lost more than 40 pounds within 6 months. Think about it. Without not going to and I've tried different supplements, I've even went somebody that give me medicine to reduce myself. I'm not disrespecting anyhow people get to, but going to gym has helped me to be serious about every other thing in my life. So if I can wake up in the morning and go to gym, I know my day is going to be perfect. If I don't, I already know I've f***ed it up. So what I do sometimes, I go back in the night that nobody knows. Even if I don't do my entire routine and I don't do anything big, I don't even have no instructor. I don't even go to online to look for anybody. I just keep to small routine. And I realized that just running does not work. Building muscles work too, for heartbeats and everything. So all those things, by the time you start doing it, your mental state will be so clear that the world will not know. So if I can lose weight, that you can see me, what makes you think I can't do everything else? So that's one thing that I've used to live and to guide myself when I'm in a dark place or when I'm in it. And if you go to my Instagram page, I do put it, gym is my therapy. Pain is just something that guides me to keep going in my life. So I don't see pain as a problem. I see pain as a signal that I'm going up or I'm in the wrong place. So if you've watched this particular episode at this particular moment, I hope you've been able to enjoy the younger version of Oyebanji Akins. I hope you've been able to understand who I am a little bit. And I hope I've been able to share some tips about me that nobody knows out there. For you that might be watching us, we're still looking for a co-host and freelancers that would love to come and be a guest and also to partake with us while we'll be running our program on CTDA Media. You can check us on our website, is www.ctdamongbblacks.com. You could check us on YouTube, which is CTDA Media, and you can check us on Instagram is CTDA_media. On Twitter is CTDA Media, and if you want to check us, maybe you're driving to work, you could just check us on Spotify too. We're on Apple Podcast and we are on iHeart Radio and also on Amazon Music. On this particular episode, one thing I would like you that you might be listening or watching should hold. Don't be scared of your younger self, even though when you grow, because your younger self is what you're living for. So if you don't have a version of yourself that you live for, try to find one, because you don't have to live for anybody. You have to live for yourself. So if you can't fix your younger self, use your mature time to fix your younger self in your mind. If you can go through it, it's definitely going to get you a different place. Till next episode, I remain Oyebanji Akins, and I didn't do this alone. You already know behind the camera is Cubana of Houston. Till the next time, stay blessed, stay active, and stay focused.